plan. And so I'm actually called plan because when I play, I always have a plan. But my plans do have a bit of a habit of getting most of the team killed, but I have a great time having a plan. Yeah, we're getting a couple of settings now. Look on the master controller, which is the third option. These are the persistent things that change past reboots with the key, right? And the first command you're going to see on there is the set team. Look, this is really important. And I think one of the great things that we did in SATR was actually have the ability to set teams. When you set a team, so A or B team, it turns off the friendly fire, which look, is just a must nearly all the time. You can set the friendly fire on, of course, if that's what you're after. So that's the first thing, and so basically that's pretty simple really. You go to up, set team on there, pull the trigger. If it says set FF on, well, that's friendly fire on, right? Just one thing on that. You can't mix friendly fire on and team settings. So either all your gaming guns are set the friendly fire on, or all your gaming guns are set to team A and team B. If you're running domination, which is strongly recommended you run that a lot, the domination box needs to know also what team the gaming guns are on, so you need to use A and B running domination, right? So I'm going to set that to team B, and it comes up, says change to team B, and I just shoot this, and you notice that flashes. So it's very important when you go around setting them all to teams that they do in fact flash to make sure they received it. All right. So how we do that is once we've organised the teams, we've issued the gaming guns, we've done the briefing, we take them out to their respective start points, and it's that stage we set the teams. Right. So and I train my staff to do it twice. And we use the team names Alpha and Bravo team. Alpha being the A team, Bravo being the B team. That way there's no possible confusion. The last thing you want is everyone set to the same team, right? That is not a good game at all. So thereafter set team is a thing called a target reset. Now a target reset will set the devices back to the factory defaults, right? So that is friendly fire on, default settings, battle 1, basically a guaranteed set of settings that will work, right? It won't be in a zombie game anymore. It's going to be basic vanilla Battlefield Live. And we do that at the beginning of every day, right? So when I get out there every session, once we turn all the gaming guns on, we'll do a target reset as the first thing we do to those gaming guns. And then after that, if we've got any particular changes, we will change them to, whatever. But that way they're on friendly fire on, and so we're not issuing the gaming guns at the beginning of the day and people are shooting each other and stuff before we start. They can actually hit each other because we're on friendly fire on. You want friendly fire on at that point, right? So target reset is very useful because you don't know what was done in the last session, right? So it won't change the language setting, incidentally, because people around the world run different languages, obviously, and the last thing that wants a target reset always setting it back to English. So anyway, that's a target reset, it flashes as before. The next thing is a little more tricky. This is the set weapons. One of the things that we did with SATR, which is like a core concept, was that we had a concept of and still do have a concept of a gun class. So there's the submachine guns and handguns, rifles and machine guns, right? And there's a series of weapon emulations of in each class. So the idea being that in any particular team, they'll probably have a mix of submachine guns, some rifles, and maybe a few machine guns. And what you can do then with the set weapons is to set what emulation you want to run, weapon emulation for each class. So for example, it might be some sort of Soviet force, and you might want to say, look, all the submachine guns should be some sort of PPSCH weapon. It might be that all the rifles should be AK-47s, and maybe all the machine guns should be RPDs or maybe RPK light machine guns. And you set that here for each one of those weapon, each class. And then once you've done that, right, the next menu option actually is change weapon. So that's going to implement that. So you can go up to all the gaming guns on the team, shoot it, and that's going to change to that, whatever I set that to. All right, so that's how we do it. Look, I think some other ideas people got, like cloning, which is complete madness in my opinion. I mean, because you really don't want to change everyone to be the same as the other ones. What you want is it to be done by class, right? So that's a key concept in SATR, and your master controller does that. The next actual option is the class menu, and that actually lets you set what weapon class the devices are in. Again, rifle, submachine, because I can change this to machine gun. Right, so that's now a machine gun. You know, it's actually changed to a minimi. Boot this baby up. The volume's gone up too. The target reset has set it to a high volume, so this will be quite loud now. Slightly off the track, but this is the U model Scorpion, and the U 2013 Scorpion was redesigned to have a much larger speaker. This gives tremendously better sound reproduction than the previous version Scorpion. Hence it's got the flatter side, but my experience, done it a long time, is the two most important things when you're playing is seeing through the scope, having a good experience through the scope. Hence we've got a fully integrated scope, which has the recoil emulation, and the larger water-resistant marine speakers that give that really good sound effect. So, a big, loud, but not distorted sound. That's now a minimi. So that's pretty cool. The next, so after class, is the zombie sub-menu. Look, I've covered that in an earlier video going through all the zombie menus, so I'm going to skip past that now. That was under really how to run zombie games. You can set the health, like how many hit points, right? Again, just how many I want. I want to set this to 3. I'm going to point out the sensor, and that's now got 3 hit points. No problem. So after set health, there's set difficulty level. Now, set difficulty level, there's 3 levels of this. There's easy, standard, and hard. Target reset will set it back to standard, and we use standard all the time, to start with at least. Mostly we use the other modes as a handicap, so that if one team is really struggling after the first couple of games or something, I will set that team onto easy mode. Now easy mode will still get 5 hit points, 5 times before they're dead, right? But it is a lot easier. They can only be hit once every 2 seconds. They can get twice as far as standard. They get automatic reloads. The recoil is disabled, so that means the red dot stays on even when they're shooting. So that's a big advantage. So suddenly, they're getting more ammunition, unlimited reloads and automatic reloads. They're more accurate and they're harder to kill fast. So they're going to do a lot better. But often the players don't really notice the other side so much. It's just because she says guys have got a lot better. So that's a pretty good way to handicap. Sometimes I use the set hard. Just be careful with the hard. It will set to 3 hit points by default. So players will notice that. What I do is I have to use that before a game starts. I'll go around and set into hard mode, and then I'll use the set health and set it to 5 hit points. Right? And so that, now what is hard mode? Well, hard mode is exactly the same as standard, except they can now be hit every half a second instead of a second. So they can die twice as fast, and that does make a huge difference, especially in domination. Right? I mean, you're now, basically 2 seconds of full fire, you're going from full health to dead. And the other team at this stage is probably on easy mode. Well, they're 5 hits to 2 seconds, they can actually get 10. There's 10 seconds before they're down. That's a big difference. So that will usually do the job for you to try and get those games balanced. And which means, look, my view is don't get tempted to set everyone to easy right from the start. It takes out those options to rig it, and I don't believe that you should dumb the product down. I have found that even younger kids, 7 or 8, understand the concept of a reload. They've all played the games. They know, run out of ammo, it's click, push the reload button, reload. You don't need to set it to easy. That's one area I recommend you don't get a little bit lazy on, but I do know that does happen, but I don't recommend that. Next is set indoor and set outdoor. So indoor range, outdoor range, really useful for running sometimes inside a building or inflatables, close quarters combat. I want to get indoor range. Indoor basically reduce the infrared range right down. reduce the amount of infrared bounce. If you're firing full outdoor range and you're indoors, you're going to get some ricocheting of the infrared. So you can switch between two. That's UN SATR 2.0 incidentally. Set, locked and unlocked, so you can lock the gun. Locked means that when they reboot, it will reboot straight to ready and it will bypass all the menus, so they can't change anything. So that's locked mode, and you can unlock it as well. You set the volume to like low volume, medium volume or high volume. Good if you're running in the backyard. You can set the language. That's UN 2.0, like US English. If you set it to laser tag, it will now start saying tagged and deactivated instead of casualty and kill confirmed. We use that quite a lot for running young kids' birthday parties, school groups, maybe a more sensitive church group. Look, a bit of care when in terms of being appropriate. You'll also change the letters. It will now say T for tags, D for deactivations rather than H for hits and K for kills. So there's changes like that happen when you change the language, like to laser tag.